and assemble it inexpensively, why wouldn't someone do it like that?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have many choices now in publishing. Everything is findable. PDFs are searchable, but people don't like looking at PDFs. Went through, when they find a search engine and you see a PDF, most people will click the view it in HTML format. I always find that interesting because they don't want to initiate the plugin or the, have Adobe, on their computer or whatever else. PDFs are, it's its own medium.
Right. Someone sent me a PDF book, and it was a very important...
And passionately read it while you're sitting on the toilet or sitting in bed?
I really, and this is just me, okay? I felt limited that I had to be in front of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what books are to me. They can go wherever you are. Why should I have to be on the computer to read an important or an enlightening or an interesting or passionate book? Right. And it glued me, and I found myself, this is the first time, and by the way, this is not to put down people who do ebooks, but I just wondered what you thought, because in my experience, my whole opportunity to read it was narrowed by having to be at the screen. I really appreciate traditional publishing very, very much. Once we're done with reading blogs, etc., I still love books. Yeah,
and Kindle and the new Sony and Amazon and has theirs. Amazon Kindle, but not Amazon. Google has theirs coming out. I think that e-reading technologies, e-ink and things like that, that's our future no matter what. I'm praying that they will create it as recyclable products and things, not so we don't get more landfill things. That's a different issue, but that's very important to me, that we keep the environment more in mind with everything we produce. But smartphones, and I've been reading with my Tungsten Tea and now my Zoom. I've been reading books for 6 or 7 years in electronic media. So I take it with me. I read it in the hot tub. In fact, I drop my... Anyone who says, please send me a new palm. I drop my palm, my tungsten in the hot tub. It didn't swim very well. So
I hear you.
It was quite. I came running in the house. I hair dried it. I did everything. It shorted out, so the drive was fried. But so I need a new little drive.
Well, I'm glad that your book, Blogging Tips: What Bloggers Won't Tell You About Blogging.
Yeah, it is. I decided, I think that there is that portability of documents to go with us in our electronic media and read. I love reading with my handheld in bed. It's much better than reading a book. I love it. It took me. I am such a book fanatic. It took. I was like, but the portability. I could stick 600 books in a thing. That's just.
I just hope we don't get rid of traditional books.
No, I don't think we'll ever get rid of.
I hope it's always being done, and that this is just another option.
I think that there will always be, because there's something tangible with it. But the portability is increasing, and I love using them. So when you have, so if you have the medium to take those and make them portable and read them, and you're comfortable with them, and a lot of people are now comfortable with that, I don't have a problem with that, because I embrace that fully. Having the ebooks and things, again, it goes back to passion and purpose and intent. Content with intent. That is my core driving purpose of this last couple of years, is do not produce content without intent. And you are exactly right that ebooks, if you don't have the medium to remove them from your computer, do limit your readability, but it depends. Now, we produced Blogging Tips, What Bloggers Won't Tell You About Bloggers, as a physical book and not an ebook, because the goal was to separate people from the computer and allow them to go in and read this. My greatest compliment, here comes under TMI, is when people say, I keep your book in my bathroom.
Lovely. Okay.
To me, that means that while they're sitting there, because some of the best ideas in the world come from your bathroom.
That's true.
Okay? So that means that it sits there, it stays there, they look at it, they're constantly reminded about their blog. And my book is very unique because it's written as a checklist. You go through and you go, did that, mark that off. And you're constantly being challenged with this, form of checklist writing style, because everything is a tip.
We have just a few minutes left. I wanted to quickly, not to cut you off, I wanted to quickly ask you about if you would be willing to share a little bit about your time in Israel and the Dead Sea Scrolls, your experience. I thought that was so beautiful, what you shared with me. I just wondered if you would share it with the audience.
Certainly. This is something that I often end my keynotes with. A lot of people diss the personal blog. And I have never quite understood why, though some of them are kind of time wasters, but I think they're very important. And what made that even more a powerful belief for me was I lived in Israel for 5 years, and I got a chance to visit the Dead Sea Scrolls in the Israel Museum, which is an amazing facility to actually see them. The one that went on tour was fantastic, but the one there in Jerusalem is amazing. And while everyone was racing to read about Isaiah and, all the, to see that duplicate, how right, was every word right? Does it match what we know now? And, was the Bible really the phone game where it evolved over time, or is it really match? And I don't give a crap about any of that. What was important to me are the diaries, the journals that the priests and the shepherds and the educated people kept, that were also preserved in those scrolls, and that listed the minutia of their lives. Now, when you think about if you know anything about archaeology, especially in that part of the world, there are whole tribes, whole cultures we know literally nothing about because they've completely been wiped off the face of the earth, or morphed so far. It's like the Anastasia. the Anasazi, we now know were the Hopis, that just kind of, they became the Hopis. But
we're creating new tribes as we speak.
Right, and yes, exactly. So it's the, that people believed that they were the lost tribe because we knew nothing about them. Well, we now know through a lot of research that they morphed into the Hopis. And so the same thing is with these people. We don't know anything about them. They moved through their migratory or not. We didn't know anything about them. And what we found in those scrolls was about their day-to-day life that archaeologists are going nuts about. They're going, how did they eat? How did they go to the bathroom? How did they grow their food? When did they pray? How often did they pray? Where did they get their water? How did they handle the laws, the decisions, the judgments, the things that revolve? We're all screaming and yelling about Obama and Bush and war in Iraq and all these, and Iran and all the things going. That will disappear with time. What's left are the things that we build and make, the physical things. But we are obsessed with those, so we need to know what were the laws and the judgments, and how did they make those decisions on penalizing someone for crossing whatever line? Did they have lines? Which lines did they draw? Was it okay to have 15 wives, or was it not? We didn't know any of that information, and the scrolls brought this minutia of these people's lives into ours. So we now know about, however it was 3,000, 4,000 years ago. We know about their lives. We know about how they survived. And I think that today's blogs, personal, business, whatever they are, that when it's all said and done 5,000 years from now, little data chips, little servers and things like that will be uncovered, that will be available, that will give archaeologists, genealogists, historians in the future a look back at the intangibles that are not preserved by a culture passing through. So when you write, realize that you're not just writing for your reader of today or tomorrow or next week or a month from now or even 5 years from now. I want you to really think about the power of what it is that you are saying and the contribution you have to history. So that 5,000 years from now, when that little data chip is unearthed and they dig into what we had to say about how we live and what our minutia is like, That's what you're writing for.